After a lot of theory and background information about how to create universal apps, it's now time to have a detailed look on the application that we are going to create, which is a real-world example for a universal app. So once we have a look at the home screen of the iPhone 6 simulator here, you can see that we have a nice icon here which says EX, which stands for ExchangeOGram, which is kind of like an Instagram clone. Not as sophisticated, of course, but as soon as I'm going to open it, you will see what that means. So we have a simple timeline where you can see some photos and messages. These are just demo messages, so I have just copy and pasted some text and reused the same images more than once. But as you can see, we have a table view controller with an image and a message. So when I click on one of these items, you can see that we get a bigger version of the image, and also we get the full message. So we also support pull to refresh. So when someone has added a photo, which works like this. So we just press the plus button. As you can see, we get a nice user interface which states enter your message. So I'm going to enter my message. That we can later even improve it by when we click on it, this text is going to be removed. So I'm going to enter a message which says first tutorial message, and we can then click on this image icon and we will be asked, would like to access photos. Okay, so there are some photos and I'm going to just select one. And there is a photo of iTunes Connect, I think. And once we click send, you can see that we have a nice progress bar here, and then we can refresh our table, and there is our new image, which also has the message that we added to it. So as you can see, not all messages are directly loaded. This saves a lot of memory, and this saves a lot of network traffic that you would get when you would load everything at once. So this is all working asynchronously and reloads asynchronously, so that you get the best performance. And once you actually turn this to the left, you can see that the user interface actually adapts itself, and it's always using the best of the screen possible. So this is the version for the iPhone 6. So now let's have a look on the iPhone, let's say the iPhone 4S. What does it look like on a smaller screen? So I'm going to run the application again. As you can see, we get a little launch screen here. It launches, and as you can see, the same thing, the same user interface appears, and you can also see that the images are loaded asynchronously. And so far so good. So I can click plus, and you also can see here that this is a little close here. We could reduce the font size here, but you can see that it actually has a nice fit and finish to it for this screen size. So let's now select the iPhone 6 Plus, which gives us a complete, well, maybe not completely, but it gives us definitely a different user experience than what we've seen so far. So once it runs, so there it is. As you can see, the launch screen has adapted to its size, and I maybe should make this a little smaller. So give me a second. So this is the iPhone 6 Plus screen. So once I turn this around, you can see that we have a nice table view controller here. And what you know from iPad master detail view controllers or master detail applications, we get the left third of the screen is filled with the actual table view controller. And once we click on the items, you can see that we can use the 2/3 on the right actually to display all the data that we associated with one item. So also when we click on the plus here, you can see that we get an iPad-like experience on the iPhone 6 Plus. And also when we turn this around again, I have to make the size a little smaller of the simulator. So also when we get back here, you can see that we get a different experience in portrait. in comparison to the landscape mode, as you can see here. And also we get this nice full screen button here, which allows us to show the complete image and message in full screen, because the message would not have to be that short. It could also, as you can see, take a whole lot more space. So this is actually the experience on the iPhone 6 Plus. Now let's have a look at the iPad. I'm not going to choose the Retina iPad so that we have a little more space on my screen, because there are really many pixels. So this is the iPad 2. And as you can see, we also got this this nice launch screen that we also saw on the other devices. And you will see that we only create this launch screen once. We don't have to create 20 different artworks and insert them to the assets of Xcode. We can just create our own zip file for this and add some constraints, and everything else is done automatically. And as you can see on the iPad 2 or iPad Air or whatever iPad, we immediately see the first item from our list here. So once we click on the different items in our table view controller, they're changing. And also when we go to landscape, you can see that we have no full screen button here, since the iPad display is a whole lot bigger than the iPhone 6 Plus, so there is no need for that here. And also when we click on Plus, you see that there is a similar experience to what you have seen for the iPhone 6 Plus, but also when we go to Portrait, there you can see we also have a similar experience. So now you have seen what we're going to create, and now let's have some fun creating this great app, ExchangeOGram.